Today is the kind of day where it gets really dark and it rains like crazy, and then suddenly it becomes really sunny for a couple of minutes. So if the lighting in this video is inconsistent, it is because of that. I don't control the weather, unfortunately, so let's just deal with that. Hey everybody, my name is Michelle, and in this video I'm going to give you some of my must-read autumn book recommendations. I feel like I'm a little bit late with this video because I feel like everybody did this about 2 weeks ago and we're now already halfway through October, which means we're good and well into fall or like autumn. Again, I always mix those two up because I never know what to call it. But yeah, in my mind, when we're in October, it means that October is almost over already, and then it's November, which means it's basically Christmas, which means it's basically 2022 already. I don't know, this time of year goes by so fast, mainly because there are so many things that are happening, I guess. We now have the spooky Halloween season, and then in November lots of people already get excited for Christmas, and also for me personally, my birthday is in November. And then it's the holidays, and you know, I feel like 2021 is almost over already because this time of year goes by so fast. Like, I will blink 2 times and I'm sure it will be the new year. Anyway, you're not here for my thoughts on how fast time goes. You're here for some autumn book recommendations, so I'm going to give those to you. I've picked some dark books, some I guess cozy books, a bit of a fall atmosphere. I will say that I have not chosen any thrillers or murder mysteries in this video because I will make a separate video for that. Because otherwise this video would have been way too long, and also why make one video when you can make 2 videos and then, you know, you have more content. Anyway, yeah, some autumn book recommendations that I really want to talk about. I've tried to pick some books that you might not have heard about before, but of course there are also a couple of that you probably have heard about because they are very popular in these fall reading list types. Anyway, I've been babbling long enough now. I'm just going to start and give you my must-read autumn book recommendations. So the first book that I want to talk about is one that I read about 5 years ago, that I heard about around that time, and that I have not heard about ever since, but I think it's really good. And that is Jane Steele by Lindsay Fay. And this is, as you can maybe tell, a retelling of Jane Eyre. On the cover it says, "Reader, I'm murdered in," because in this book we have Jane Steele, whose life very much resembles that of Jane Eyre. She's also an orphan, she also goes to a very strict school, she also ends up becoming a governess, except that Jane Steele is also a serial killer. That premise just has to make you excited straight away, because it did with me all those years ago, and I think it's pretty safe to say that this is definitely a book that I would recommend for autumn because, you know, serial killers, dark vibes, a school setting, a setting as a governess, like it definitely has a lot of dark academia vibes as well. And again, I heard about it before I even started my booktube channel. I read it around that time that I started my booktube channel, and I've never heard anybody talk about it ever since, like maybe around that time, but it's a bit of an older one. It's not one that is very popular on booktube right now, but I think it is one that really deserves a bit of love, a bit of attention. Even though it has been a while that I've read it, I will admit it, like I don't remember every single thing of this book. I do remember that I enjoyed it immensely because it is so exciting and tension filled, and it's dark and it has those vibes and just that entire feeling that you get when you read. Like, it's kind of a mystery, also not really. There are mysteries, there's just a lot to it. I really love that it's a retelling, but it's not a straight up copy of Jane Eyre, because Jane Eyre is actually a book that exists in this book. Like, it is in our universe. The main character Jane Steele knows about Jane Eyre, like she has read the book and everything, and she notes all the similarities. So yeah, I think this is one that really should come back to booktube, to the book community, and that I could definitely very much recommend to read during autumn. It is dark, it is interesting, it is kind of intense, and I really enjoyed it, so I hope you will enjoy it too. The next book is kind of a staple for me in these types of videos, because when I talk about dark books or fall books or like, yeah, those types of things, there's one book that I will recommend every single time. If you are an oldie on my channel, you will probably know that I'm talking about. And that book is My Sister Rosa by Justine Larbalesque. This is one of my all-time favorite books. I love it so much. I've read it multiple times. It's amazing. It is so much fun and interesting. And oh, but first, let me tell you the premise in case you are new here and you have not heard me talk about it yet. My sister Rosa is about a 16-year-old boy named Jay who, with his parents and his sister Rosa, moves to New York City. The thing, however, with Rosa is that Jay knows that she is not really like other 10-year-old girls. She's kind of different because Jay suspects that Rosa is a psychopath because Rosa very much enjoys to hurt people, to manipulate people, but she's also very good at pretending to be normal. Like, she very much puts up an act with everybody except for Jay. So Jay knows about her. He knows that she can be quite dangerous and not that all trustworthy or sweet as she seems. And Jay sees it as his job to protect Rosa from the world, but also to make sure that Rosa doesn't really hurt anybody or doesn't do too much damage. So this book, it is creepy AF. It is so creepy and it gives me all the amazing feels about that. I read this book in like a day when I read it for the first time. It is such a page turner. It is not really a thriller in the traditional sense. That's why it's in this video and not in my future thriller recommendations video. Because it's not really about a mystery. It's more about the suspense of we as a reader know that Rosa can be quite dangerous and that she can do a lot of things that you're not supposed to do. But the rest of the book, apart from Jay, like all the other characters do not know that. So it's this suspense of like, what will she do next? We cannot really trust her. Will she do something really bad or just like a prank or something? You never know. And amongst it all, Jay also just wants to be a normal 16-year-old boy. He doesn't really have the time to constantly watch his sister. So it's just, there's a lot going on, and I love the way Rosa is written because she really gives you the creeps. I just think it's perfectly done and I love this book. I love the writing style. I love everything about it. I cannot recommend this enough. That is why it's again in a recommendations video. It will probably pop up in future recommendations videos. It's a really good one, definitely perfect for autumn because of the creepiness and just the whole atmosphere of it. I love it, I love it, I love it so much. Please read it. The next book is kind of a classic and it is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. Maybe you've heard of it. It is an old one. This is about a woman who becomes the second wife of a Mr. De Winter who is like very rich, and yeah, she moves to his estate and there she learns about his first wife, Rebecca, who has died but who still has kind of a presence on this estate. And there's also the creepy housekeeper named Mrs. Danvers, and it's basically about how the main character, who does not get a name apart from the second Mrs. De Winter, how she feels like Rebecca is still there and how she herself is not good enough and how there might be more to it than she had initially thought. I think I don't have to explain why this one would be so perfect for fall, because there is so much mystery, there are secrets, there are things the main character does not know, there is a giant, kind of creepy estate, there's this looming presence of a woman, Rebecca, who has died but is still very much like, she's there in spirit, kind of like the main character feels her presence constantly. It's about that, it's about how you do not really know the history of everybody, how you come to learn it, how, yeah, there's definitely a lot to it that you just have to experience for yourself. I think it's a perfect autumn book to do that because it's just so, the way it is written, the way the story is presented, it has all the atmosphere of like a fall book, of like the, well, creepiness maybe, I don't know. Definitely the suspense and the tension and the mystery, which I just love about it. I very much enjoyed it when I read it, and I know it's a classic, but I think it's definitely worth the read to try it out. The next book I would like to recommend is one that you've probably heard about because it is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. This book is about a girl named Alex who is kind of interesting because she was the sole survivor of something very horrible that happened a little while ago. But now she's been offered a place to study at Yale University because of some of the special abilities that she possesses. And this all has to do with the secret societies that are active at Yale. There are 8 secret societies, is that correct? I'm not really sure if there are 8 societies, by the way, but a couple of societies, and they kind of dabble in magic and things that you shouldn't really dabble in. I feel like this is kind of a weird premise because I feel like Ninth House is kind of hard to describe if you have not read it yet. I feel like this is definitely something you have to experience for yourself. But Ninth House is very, very popular to read during autumn because it is a very dark academia. It is like magic, dark stuff, horrible things, and a university setting. So it's basically everything that you want from a dark academia book. There's mystery, there are some, well, there are some things that are happening that are not really all that great. The book switches back and forth between the past that leads up to the present, and then we're in the present again. It's just a whole thing. I'm not sure if I'm doing a good job on selling this book to you, but anyway, I really like Ninth House. I think I have a spoiler-free review video of this one on my channel. Pretty sure that I do, so I will leave a link to that down below in the description box, and then you can hear more about my in-depth thoughts. What it kind of comes down to is that I think this book is not going to be for everybody, because it definitely has a lot of aspects that I think not everybody will enjoy. But I really, really enjoyed it. And I think that in its genre, it is a very, very good book. And if you are slightly interested in that premise, then I would very much recommend it to you, that you read it, because it is so much fun and creeps and just everything, and I really enjoyed it. Another book that is definitely perfect to read during autumn is The Invisible Life of Eddie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. This book is about a girl named Eddie LaRue who, long time ago, she wished that she would live forever. So she made a deal with a kind of devil that she would live forever, but in exchange, nobody would ever remember her. She could not leave a mark on the world, not even write her own name or speak her own name. But now, in present day, 300 years since she has made that deal, she meets a boy named Henry who seems to be different. That sounds kind of vague again, I know, but the reason why I would like to recommend it for autumn is because I think Eddie LaRue is very much a dark fairy tale. At least that is how I experienced it. I very much thought it was like that, because there are kind of messages like be careful what you wish for, and all things come with a price, and how something good can also be something cursed, and I just like that so much. I love this book. I think it is kind of different from V.E. Schwab's other work. It is very magical, and I think the writing style is very lyrical and gorgeous, and I think that also adds to the fairy tale aspect of it, even though it's set in our world. But there's just so much to it, and there's the character of the kind of devil who made the deal with her, and there's just darkness, and it's just so much to it. I really enjoyed Eddie LaRue, and I think a lot of people did, because when this book came out last year, wow, people went crazy about it, and I can kind of see it. It is not one of my all-time favorite books, I will admit that, but it's definitely a book that I would recommend to read during the fall or autumn, I guess. Because it is so dark in a lot of ways, and it is also so lyrical, and it's cozy and kind of dark at the same time. So, you know, definitely perfect to read during this season. And then for my final book recommendation, I would like to talk about The Rose Code by Kate Quinn. Straight off the bat, I will say that this book is not really that much related to autumn. It's mostly in this video because I love it so much, and I really want to talk about it again. The Rose Code is a historical fiction book, and it takes place during the Second World War, and it actually takes place at Bletchley Park, which was this giant estate / operation that was all about cracking the secret codes that they intercepted. This book then follows 3 women who worked at Bletchley Park, 3 fictional women, and how they have different positions, different jobs, how it is very much about secrecy. And then this book also tells you immediately that one of these 3 women betrayed the other, and at the end of the war they separated in disagreement. But now in present day, which is at the eve of the wedding of Prince Philip and the then Princess Elizabeth, it turns out that there might be something else that needs their attention. Yeah. That is all I can say about it without being too specific, but they have to reunite, kind of. So is this book like autumn themed or cozy? Not really. I will say that it has its dark themes because, of course, it takes place during a war, at least mostly, and also there is betrayal. And definitely a lot of secrecy, because everything at Bletchley Park was so extremely secretive. They couldn't even talk about it with each other if they did not work at the exact same place within Bletchley Park. So I guess there's that. But why I love this book so much and why I want to recommend it for autumn anyway is because it is amazing. I love Kate Quinn. I have a very soft spot for historical fiction that takes place during World War II. This book is so well written. Kate Quinn has the best writing style. I love the way the present and the past intertwined with each other. I loved how the story unfolded. I love how the three main characters were so different in their personality and in their stories, but they were so interesting in different ways. I also very much enjoyed how all of the three main characters were not perfect by any means. They were definitely flawed. I would not paint them as like perfect role models whatsoever. But still, it was so interesting to read about them and to read about their stories. It felt very realistic. It just, and adventurous at the same time. And there's just so much to it. Oh, I loved it so much. As you can probably tell, I am a massive fan of this book. I'm also a massive fan of Kate Quinn in general. I recommend all her work to you. I've talked about it many times. But The Rose Code is her latest release and the latest book that I read by her, so I really wanted to talk about it. And please read it because you will not regret it. It's very, very good. And those were my recommendations for books that you can read during autumn. I really hope you enjoyed it. I definitely did. I had a lot of fun talking about all of these books that I love so much today. And please let me know if you ever pick up one of these books, because whenever somebody tells me that they've read a book on my recommendation, I just feel so happy and just, it is amazing to me. So yeah, please let me know that in the comments, or let me know your ultimate autumn book recommendation, what I should read during autumn, or whatever else you want to tell me. Leave me an emoji for all I care. Like, just leave me something, because I love to interact with you. And then of course you can always subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content, and you can give this video a like if you want to. And yeah, I guess that was very much it. And then hopefully I will see you again very soon in one of my next videos. And until then, bye!